Hello, this is Krista Gibson with Growing Older and Wiser. My, haven't we been on a journey so far? Today, this has all been pretty serious stuff. We've lightened it up a bit here and there and had a few good laughs. But, we're talked about what things are working, what things aren't working, our emotional lives, where do we want to live. And then we end up with death in the last recording, which I think I lost a few viewers because of that one. Sorry. So that's all pretty heavy stuff. And I kind of felt like I needed to get all of that out of the way. The practical kind of end of this whole thing about growing older and wiser and behaving more as a wise one instead of a scared one. Anyway, so today we are going to do something that I think is a lot of fun. And it's not only fun, it's really meaningful. I'm sure that you saw the movie, it was called The Bucket List, and it came out in 2007, where these two men who were terminally ill cancer patients escaped from a healing facility and decided to go and do all these things they'd always wanted to do in their lives, what they call their bucket list. And after that movie came out, I know a lot of people will say, oh, thus and so has happened, it's a bucket list thing, or this and that happened, it's a bucket list thing. And I don't know how many people really have ever created one, and I suspect not many. Now, if you're like me and you've been involved in metaphysics for years, I'm sure you've done the exercise where you come up with all the things that you want to create and do in your life and come up with plans to do them and use your metaphysical tools to make it happen, and on it goes. And that's great. That's still not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you sitting down, and I want you, this is going to be your assignment this week, and I really, really hope that you'll do this. The first thing I want you to do is sit down and create a bucket list. And what that bucket list is anything that you might feel I want to do before I die. Anything. And it can be outrageous. It can be, some people would say unattainable, but something you honestly feel, gee, if all my ducks were in a row, I'd really like for this to happen. Here's a few things I wrote down. Climb Mount Everest. Now, some people say, well, you can't climb Mount Everest. Well, put it down anyway. Play professional football. Become a ballet dancer. Spend 2 weeks in Paris. Okay, spend a month in Paris. Make a piece of art that will hang in a famous gallery. Many people will see it and love it and proclaim you this fantastic artist. Write a blockbuster novel that's made into a movie. Win a lottery of at least $1 million. More would be better, but we'll take the million. I already mentioned climb Mount Everest. Fall in love again and have a great relationship. Now, even if you're in a relationship, you might want to fall in love again with that person or create the relationship to be better than what it is, whatever. But I do want to tell you, when I wrote that one down, I thought, oh boy, I get to tell them this story. This is one of my favorite stories of all time that happened when I was general manager of a retirement community. And this is a story that actually happened. We had this woman living in one of the apartments, and then a man moved into the apartment next door to her. That was fine. Everything was great. Well, one day I'm sitting in my office, and the two of them come into my office together. I was a little surprised, and they said, Krista, we have a story to tell you. And I said, really? And they said, oh yeah, this is a great story. I said, okay, tell me. The morning before, they had each walked out of their apartments. The man had been there for a while, she'd been there for a while. They hadn't really met each other. This particular day, they both walked out of their apartments at the same time into the hallway, locked their doors, and were both heading to the dining room for breakfast when they really looked at each other and went, oh my God. Turns out they had been neighbors years ago when they were both married to other people. They had been attracted to one another. They had flirted and played with the idea of having an affair, but they both decided that was not for them. They were going to remain true to their spouses. And, just one of those things that's not going to happen. And here they were, living next door to each other, both of them without spouses, and being given the opportunity to meet again and see if that love was still there or that attraction. And it was. So they asked me, they said, Krista, can we knock down the wall between our two apartments so we can have a door that goes back and forth? So they didn't have to go in the hallway and people might see them. And I said, well, if you do that, I said, you're going to have to be willing to put the wall back. I said, I don't think your families are going to want to do that. So my answer is no. Just enjoy yourselves. Don't worry about what anybody else says. So I tell you that because if you're going to put on your bucket list, fall in love again, don't count it out. It can happen at any age. So once you've made this list and you really feel, I want you to just dump it all on there. When you really feel and you look at the list, you go, yeah, this is pretty much stuff that if everything, all the stars aligned, this is what I'd like to do before I die. Now, I want you to sit on that list, not sit on it, look at the list and go down them one by one and say, do I really, really want to do this? What will be required of me to do this? Let's take climbing Mount Everest. What would I have to do? I'd have to get good at climbing. I'd have to have the equipment. I'd have to have training. I'd have to have the money to do all of this. Is this something that I want so badly that I'm willing to put all of that effort into? If you are, leave it on the list. If you're not, cross it off. So I want you to go through them one by one and be completely honest with yourself about, what is required to do this thing? What would you have to do? Really spend time thinking about that. And are you willing to do those things? If you're not, cross it off the list. For me, when I did this exercise, one of the things, I've always wanted to write a novel because I'm a writer. I write nonfiction and I've got several books out, so on and so forth. And, I write things all the time. But I wanted to write a novel. I love reading a good novel, one that holds me on the edge of my seat, one that makes me wonder about the characters all day long till I can get back to my novel. I wanted to write one of those. Well, finally, I was able to sit there and go, Krista, is this something that you're really going to do? And at first I thought it was. And I even signed up for a course, an online course about writing your novel. I got through the course and I went, you know what? I don't really want to do this. Writing a novel is nothing like what I thought it would be. Writing a novel is not like reading a novel. When we read a novel, we get this story and the person has worked out all these characters and things that happen. When you're writing the novel, you have to figure all that out. And there's ways to do it. And you're supposed to have so many words in this section and so many over here. And I went, oh, that's not what I want to spend my time doing. I took it off of a list of things I want to do. And I felt so relieved. It was like, oh boy, I don't have to write a novel. Does it mean I won't still? Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I don't have to. And I felt so relieved. As you go down this list and you start really getting, digging in and saying, which of these things do I really, really, really want to do? And you take things off, you're going to find yourself feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. And don't forget things like forgive and forget, reach enlightenment, do 2-hour meditations, do whatever with yoga. It doesn't have to just be all profane sorts of fun things. It can be spiritual things. So go down the list and end up with a list that is really and truly a list of things that you would like to do before you die. Now, this applies whether you're 25, 35, 45, 95. What age you are really doesn't matter with this. You can do this at any age. In fact, the other day I read where a man who was 101 finally graduated high school. He wasn't able to do it when he was young. He had to work, so on and so forth. And he went back to school. I don't remember if he did a GED. No, he went back to school, and he graduated from high school. So never say never. Come up with a list that is what you really want to do or experience before you die. And like I said, you might have another 20 years, another 30 years. So nobody's saying you're going to die next year. You don't know when you're going to die. That's last week's session. But come up with a really good bucket list that's yours and that you feel good about. And then once you've decided, you've gotten rid of all the things you're really not going to do, you've got a workable list of things you really, really want to accomplish, Then sit down and look at it and say, okay, what do I want to do first? Which is most important to me? And start working down the list. And then there's some people I know who are going to tell me, Krista, this is a bunch of hooey. I'm just happy to be who I am. I'm living my life. I don't have any big dreams. I've pretty much done it all. And I just want to live a good life. Fine. Do that then. Put that down. Nobody's saying you have to do anything. This is for people who do feel that way and want to do something. The other thing I want to put in here before we leave today is as you do this, I think you're going to also find that the universe will start giving you surprises. For instance, I never had thought about going to Spain, right? My mother always wanted to go to Spain. I don't know why, and she's gone, so I can't ask her. But out of the blue, I was invited to come to Spain twice, actually, expenses paid, and teach classes and have a book published and all of these wonderful things. If somebody had said to me 5 years prior, hey, you want to go to Spain? I'd say, I don't know. But the universe gave it to me. So what I'm trying to say to you is, as you put this list together and as you really look at things that you genuinely want to experience in your life that haven't happened yet, you might be surprised at what the universe lays at your feet. The universe might surprise you and say, no, not 2 weeks in Paris, but how about an African safari? Could happen. You just don't know. Come up with your really true good bucket list, whatever it is, however long, however short it is. Take a look at it, start working on them, seeing which ones you really, really want to do, and let it go from there. And I think you'll find this is a pleasant, happy, exciting, and interesting assignment. I'll see you in the next class. Thanks for watching.